Hey there. Today we're going to ask a very important question. Is U.S. foreign policy controlled by Israel? This theory gets a lot of play. I'd say at least once a day, often multiple times a day, somebody in my YouTube comments posts some variation of this theory. Sometimes it's advanced in a rational way, but more often it's put in belligerent anti-Semitic terms. I get these comments so often that I've put together a Medium article on Israel and anti-Semitism that I post rather than responding to all these comments individually. I think it's pretty worth reading. If you're interested, I've put a link in the description below. To be clear, no. U.S. foreign policy is not a Zionist plot, Netanyahu is not calling the shots, and the U.S. government is not doing the bidding of the sinister puppet masters at IPAC. Though I see why people get this impression. As I've said before, I am not yet ready to dive in on the question of Israel and Palestine. I'm conflicted, and I have a lot more reading to do. But I think it's blindingly obvious that Israel is a source of instability in the Middle East. I support Israel and its continued existence, but it's clear that if it wasn't there, the Middle East would be a much healthier place. Every crappy Middle Eastern ruler for the past 70 years has used Israel as an excuse to abuse their own people. So people wonder why the United States is so committed to supporting Israel. Doesn't it make getting Middle East oil harder? People see this and assume that Israel's hardline government must be running the show. It's not. It's the complete opposite, in fact. There are many, many reasons why the United States supports Israel so firmly. But at the end of the day, it's about money, pure and simple. Israel's hardline government makes a ton of money for U.S. investors and workers. This is about what I call the metastasized military-industrial complex. It's not just the iron triangle between congressmen, military contractors, and the Pentagon anymore. I recommend you watch our full series on the topic. Put briefly, this complex has spread like a cancer over the past 75 years. There are now tens, or perhaps hundreds of thousands of people across the United States and the world whose livelihoods depend on the United States Defense Department. This decades-old project of war socialism is the biggest jobs program in world history, and it all depends on instability. If you know this 75-year history, then the true role of Israel's current leadership becomes very, very clear. They are just one small part of a long-term project. Ask yourself, what was the Zionist interest in the U.S. destruction of Southeast Asia in the 1960s and 1970s? What was the Zionist interest in the CIA's attempt to destroy democracy in Latin America in the second half of the 20th century? What is the Zionist interest in the Pentagon's accelerating militarization of Africa today? And what is the Zionist interest in setting up a Saudi and Emirati empire in Yemen? The answer to all these questions is that there isn't one. The only through line to U.S. foreign policy is feeding the military-industrial complex. We need instability to feed the beast with outsized military budgets. Israel's hardline leadership is an important part of this strategy, but they're not calling the shots. They're just the latest in a long line of stooges that helps us do the job. And even in the immediate region, it is not Israel's interests that are being served here. Turning all of Israel's neighbors into smoking ruins is not good for the long-term health and viability of the Zionist project. All of these countries will recover eventually, just like Lebanon did, and when they do, they are not going to have Israel's best interests at heart. The current Israeli leadership works for the U.S. government, not the other way around. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. And if you'd like to help me keep making videos like this one, you can click on the PayPal link in the description below to send a direct donation, or you can click on the Patreon link here to find out more about my crowdfunding thing. Thanks.